like Maker Faire. It seemed different this year, and I can't quite figure out why. Maybe it was, I think if I'd never read that article about the potential of Maker Faire not being around next year,
Yeah.
it wouldn't have impacted me in this way. But it was kind of rainy, and so the outside stuff that is normally like the big draw of the Bay Area Maker Faire, there's huge like Burning Man type metal sculptures that breathe fire and walk around, and some of them were there, but as many as they had last year, I think this year was a little lacking. And I don't know if that was people like knew it was going to rain, so they just let us on the giant metal robot, and so that's probably not the best idea. So it seemed like there was less stuff. There noticeably was less stuff to buy or to walk away from, than there was last year. I feel like, yeah, because I go there looking for something to take back with me, like a piece of inspiration or something I've never seen before. I think we mentioned this last time. Like, I prepare to be wowed, and then I take that moment and go back and have it impact me for whatever is to come. And I remember this year there being less opportunities for that. They did happen.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as many, and maybe it's just because I went last year and it's kind of the same.
It's not the first time you've been
Yeah.
there. Yeah. Oh, that's true.
The novelty may have worn off.
Yeah. I guess I always do buy something there. Like, I always get t-shirts from these two vendors. And actually, one of them I didn't make it back to, so I didn't get anything. But they have really cool t-shirts, and I always buy some from them. But this year, well, no. I always get those, but I didn't really think about the fact that I walk away with something. So then I don't think about the fair as a place to buy stuff. And my son walked down here. We're recording right now, bud.
Like, he said so much without saying a single
He
word.
didn't say a single word, but he knew. Yeah. I wonder if, so anybody that doesn't know, that's listening, that doesn't know about this thing, there was an article that got sent around a whole bunch a few days prior to Maker Faire about how it may not happen in the Bay Area next year because they don't have any big corporate sponsors anymore. It's hard for them to pay for it. It's a really expensive thing to do. And I assume that's all true. Well, I'm positive it's all true. But I wonder if the weird feeling this year was because of that article, or it was because of the rain, or it was both. If maybe one caused the other, well, didn't cause the rain. But I mean, if the article made the rain seem like a bigger deal than it was, or maybe people just didn't show up. I don't know.
It did to me, because I had the feeling like, oh, if that's already in the air, low attendance would just substantiate that thought.
Yeah.
And low attendance not because of lack of interest, but because of the weather. Like, that just seems like a really unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah.
It's really hard to judge engagement in the community when you have an outside factor like that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's always going to be a factor for an event like that. So a couple of years of bad weather, knocking down attendance affects whether that thing can continue on or not. I don't think, from what I understand, I don't think the attendance or lack of attendance is the problem with the potential for keeping it going. I think it's the corporate sponsorship. Like, I would imagine they could sell twice as many tickets and it still wouldn't probably cover the cost of the fair. I mean, I think it's just so expensive that they have to have corporate stuff, and if they don't, it may not continue. So I don't know if I don't know. I hope it continues, because I do think it's an important thing. I think it's really good for that area out there. I think it's really good for the kids that get to go. Obviously, it's localized, so it's not, it doesn't affect kids everywhere, but I think it's really important out there. So I hope they figure out a way to make it continue to happen.
And I think for their global enterprise, because the other Maker Fairs are locally operated and licensed from Make, I think by removing the Bay Area Maker Faire, you'd be getting rid of that mothership.
Mm-hmm.
Not that the World Maker Faire would go away. I don't know how that would affect the New York version, but I think it would have second and third order effects that would be negative for the brand as a whole and for the community as a whole.
Yeah, I agree. So I guess we'll find out. I was kind of hoping, this isn't realistic, but I was kind of hoping that with that article coming out, some big company would kind of step up in the days right before the fair and be like, we, Company X, are going to make sure Maker Faire happens next year. You know what I mean? To like, we support this to get through this year, but also set up the expectation that it will be supported at least one more time through something else, just to kind of get some momentum behind it. But that didn't happen that I'm aware of. Anyway, it would be cool. Oh, by the way, what are you working on?
I'm working on.
I'm about to do a bag dump. I asked you a question and then I'm going to cover it up. Your answer was noise.
I'm working up a small version of
No, I just sorry.
the Battle for Hoth Star Wars set, because you bought a really big set.
A big set.
Is this part of the set?
No, this is
Oh,
the.
this is.
No, this is a different one.
You got the Blockade Runner,
I did.
and the Blockade Runner came with a little tiny freebie set, because the model that I purchased that we talked about last week is
You're gonna show up, do you know?
next week maybe. It has a like May 20 something through June something. So
Sometime this year.
yeah, I'm not holding my breath, but I'm excited for it.
This is a cool looking R2 unit. Look at this guy.
Ooh, he's clear.
He's got a clear dome with orange details and a gray and silver body. This is kind of my ideal color scheme right here. All my favorite colors. Gray and gray. And silver. Speaking of R2, I went to the R2 Builders Club booth again, as I always do. And it was one of the highlights of my fair. Because I have been, since I did the first video,
R2, and the one that I 3D printed was the color scheme. And because, yeah, doing R2D2, which is by far my favorite Star Wars character, to get that right, and because there's so many versions, and or not versions, but like people have replicated that so much, and the R2 Builders Club, they hold all of the plans and the colors and the pieces, like all those things are so accurate, and the council has to approve them. And like, I don't know what the right color is. Like, it's not just blue; it's a special blue.
yeah, it's overwhelming.
It is, and it becomes really daunting. And so that's why I went with just a complete, like, out of left field version of mine. Was partly a defense mechanism. Like, I came up with that creatively. No, it's so that I wouldn't feel bad if I got it wrong.
Yeah.
So I just avoided it. And you're not. You want to make it accurate, which is amazing. And I super commend you, and I'm just as excited about it as you are.
I doubt that.
Well, I didn't buy it, and I haven't put it together.
Yeah.
But when you're not around, I'm going to talk about it.
Okay, that's fine.
Like, do you add servos and stuff right now, or
Yeah.
do you add them after the fact?
Right.
Do you paint certain things, or do you powder coat certain things? And talking to the R2 Builders Club, yes, you do both. I'm like, well, then the color's going to be different. If the color's going to be different, then I'm going to hate it, and it's going to be the same.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm just afraid to move ahead. And he was like, but you make stuff all the time. If something's wrong, you can take it apart and you can do it again.
That's
And I was like, oh yeah.
there we have that
there you go.
superpower. Don't we?
And I mean, it was honestly just kind of freeing to somebody to say, like, he said, every single one ever is different. There are no two droids that are put together exactly the same top to bottom, because everything can be done in multiple ways and end up looking the same. I was like, oh. I was like, so, and I know that, like, you know, I've been on the forums enough that
Put them together differently.
Yeah.
Like the shoulder pieces are backwards.
Yeah.
And so it's there's certain people it's like, oh, I'm making this one or I'm making that one, and I guess that's a very good point, that they are all different. And even the quote unquote like master copies, the screen used ones
Are different.
are like whoopsie daisy kind of different.
Yeah.
And because the arms or the legs come off, they're in transport, and they just put the arms on or those shoulder pieces on backwards. And so I guess that allows you, if the original creators can have grace in that moment,
Yeah.
I think anybody building one in their garage should be afforded the same opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the mechanics of it, and it still moves. And it just, it was wild. That was probably like the most unexpected.